and welcome back to TSINELAS. We are going to switch topics. We have jiu-jitsu, we have behavior, we have being an educator and working in education, and then we have being a parent and a dad. And so, four things. And this will be the second part, which is behavior on what I actually do. And what do? I have an actual title for a specific program in the school district I work at, but if you were going to generalize that title, it would be a behavior interventionist, someone who intervenes in behavior. And like I've said before, I normally de-escalate a lot of high high behaviors, high escalated behaviors, in a way to where a student may be more aggressive. And that could either be physically, or that could be verbally, or it could be both. So my job and my specialty would be to de-escalate those situations. The cool thing, and maybe it's a little bit of a tangent, is what I do actually generalizes not only in students, but it actually goes across to working with adults as well. And so it can help 100% with dealing with anyone who's in slight escalation, or when things might start to get heated and not. And, I'm going to go a little bit off the tangent here, but it is something to where I feel a lot of times I have to be in check in myself. And because I know that I have to be aware of how I'm also speaking, communicating to people, and be aware of how they're probably taking it. Obviously, there are times where I'm just going to be like, I'm going to say whatever I want. And there have been times I do. Of course, it depends the environment, right? But I think from what I do for over the many years of doing this, you kind of get a sense of what is going to happen when you do get like that, or when I get like that, or if I see someone else get like that. You kind of figure out, okay, this is probably going to happen, and it's going to escalate in these areas. Either way. So behavior intervention is what I do. It is in the realm of special education. Okay. So I don't have an actual classroom. Now, in the teaching portion of this is, along with helping students de-escalate or regulate their system and their frame of mind, when they are calm, then the teachable moments is teaching appropriate behaviors. Okay. And what they can expect from others, what is expected of themselves, and what's appropriate. Here's something, though, that is hard. Doing this, you know what the appropriate behaviors are. Pretty much 90%, 95% of the time. It's hard for me when I'm out there in general public and you hear adults, or you see adults telling kids the appropriate thing, and they don't do it. The adults don't. And you're kind of like, man, this is going to be a cycle. And that's probably the hardest thing to see. And I feel that it's hard too, because we try really hard to get these students to navigate life. And some of them could be in a place to where it's going to be hard regardless. It's hard for anyone, to be honest. But if you're having some kind of struggle and you need more support and you're getting it, they have to learn it even harder. Okay. And they still have to navigate through life, just like we all do. Anyways, it's just that's part that's hard sometimes to see. But anyways, so I travel from different classrooms. Used to travel between different campuses. This year I'm on one, and but yeah, I see kids from all grade levels. and try to help them out, and try to plan with teachers as well, talk to parents about different plans and what we're doing at school. So it does hold different hats, but at the very end of it, it's all about behavior and it's all about communication. So that's kind of a very short summary of what I do. Um, if I were going to give a crisis of what I've normally seen, and have you ever known anybody in special education, or you know anybody who does specialized programs? Everyone has crazy stories that has happened. I mean, especially over the years that you've been in. I've been in for about 18 years now, and so yeah, I mean, when someone says you could write a book, you probably could write a book about all these different things that have happened. Um, the smallest thing I could say would happen would just be, a student gets upset because so and so was looking at them funny, and they end up starting getting super mad, right? And they might look at the other student real mean. They might start talking back or talking out loud. And so those are kind of smaller situations. What does a big crisis look like? It could be, and I'm going to be general, I'm going to piece together different things um, from different scenarios into one scenario, but they're all pretty much similar. A student will either come in angry already or just have something that just seems different. And someone will say something that could either be a teacher or it could be another peer. And out of what people will say out of nowhere is the student would get super upset, maybe just out of nowhere yell, probably curse, or grab some paper and throw it on the floor. And that can escalate to where they pick up their chair, slam it on the floor, throw it down on the floor, and maybe a desk gets overturned and, just a big push out. Those can be more of the extreme ones. There could also be other extremes, such as running out of the classroom and just trying to run somewhere else, or try to attack someone in their class that's close to their vicinity, or just around them. These are situations that do happen, and the specialized programs in school districts are trained to handle these. I think later on in another episode, we'll go over some of that stuff of training and vetting. I definitely have my opinions on those, and I would love to share them. But for this one, we're going to just go on the premise that, we all do get trained for this. There is vetting. I will say that on my personal, I do have an extension certification to train others and to certify them in de-escalation techniques. Here is a cross to kind of combine things. The de-escalation techniques do have a lot of verbal heavy, and I will always say verbal is the way to go, because why do you ever want to put your hands on anyone, right? If you can keep it verbal, it's the safest place. If it does go physical, then there are physical ways of de-escalating. The extreme part of that could be called restraining, and that's basically stopping movement. Jiu-jitsu is something that I'm definitely trained in, and will say over the years that has gotten a lot better. I will always say in jiu-jitsu that I am not good at it, no matter what, no matter how old I get, no matter how much I train. I think it's funny that there was a meme that I saw, or wasn't a meme? It was it was probably a clip, and it was basically saying that people who love jujitsu, love losing, or they just love training even though they suck at it. It's just, for me, I take that at heart on the fact that I will always be learning, because it's hard and you will lose more than you will always win. So anyways, that's kind of like a little thing on some things that could happen. I am very certain that if once we start having people come on here, we will definitely get into some of those stories and like go into more depths on those. Anyways, again, this job is all about de-escalating through communication, and I will definitely say that that's a hard thing to do. I really realize that people who do a lot of behavior and try to help kids navigate the world have, I don't know if it's like really exist outside of the world of normal communication. The reason I say that is because sometimes I'll be observant and I'll watch conversations, and it seems like when people talk, they talk with assumptions. Like I'm talking to you and I'm assuming something that you know what I'm talking about. A, a lot of the times, I don't think people really know. They just guess, and 50-50, they might get it right. 30-70, they might get it right. Sometimes they'll get it wrong, and they just don't want to admit that they got it wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, put in the comments if you have noticed something like this, but I'm just saying that sometimes we live in this assumption world under my observation. Okay. The thing is, like, when we are working with these kids, that assumption has to kind of go, right? They can't keep assuming that everyone knows what they're talking about. So the communication part would be to actually say what they are actually thinking. I don't know if, well, listen to this. I know I have kids. A lot of y'all have kids. A lot of y'all have nephews and nieces if you don't have kids, so on. You know, I realize that you'll hear things like, why don't you know what I'm talking about? You should know. Well, maybe I should know, but I don't. And that's something I think that's pretty common about all that. So I will definitely say de-escalation is very heavy on communication, and learning how to communicate is something that is probably learned throughout your whole life, right? And you can always get better at that. Anyways, so that's that one part. I am gonna keep this podcast a little bit shorter than last time. One is when I like to consume podcasts, definitely I take them in segments, so they're super long. But I do also do like watching the ones that are shorter, when you see them on clips. Anyways, that's basically a summary of what I do, and I'm really hoping that as we go along in this TSINELAS journey, that we'll get more into stuff. A lot more stories will come out. Definitely am excited for guests to come on and go on these tangents, and anyways, just excited for it. So thanks for hanging around, watching episode 3. Hopefully you got caught up. It's not too many, right? That'll hopefully be more and more as we keep going. But hey, if you like it, tap the like, drop a comment, share this, and subscribe. Peace.